The Royal Opera House, Covent Garden, London. Here in February 1978, the Royal Ballet performed the world premiere of a work danced to the music of Franz Liszt, based on one of the most bizarre and sensational episodes in the history of European monarchy. This programme tells the story of how the ballet was made and the facts behind the by now legendary events on which it's based.
That would be very good.
The new work had been in the mind of its creator, Kenneth Macmillan, for more than 4 years.
Can you simulate drum roll?
And had subsequently been in rehearsal with members of the Royal Ballet Company for nearly a year, here in their studios at the Royal Ballet School in Barons Court, West London.
Is there a way of moving her that way and that way? It's terrible for you, isn't it?
Macmillan's new 3-act ballet was acclaimed by dance critics and audiences alike at Covent Garden as a significant achievement in the development of modern classical ballet.
It's even better.
It provided sensational new roles for established stars of the Royal Ballet, David Wall and Lynn Seymour. Mayerling is a thrilling, moving theatrical experience, said The Guardian. I would unhesitatingly recommend you to see this performance, said The Times, and went on, Macmillan has always been addicted to innovative, sometimes hazardous lifts and manoeuvres. This time, even the most far-fetched inventions are well worth the fetching. Mayerling's first season at Covent Garden was an instant sellout. At its American debut in Los Angeles, it received a 20-minute standing ovation.
When I was much younger and started doing ballets, I was very influenced at that time by the ballets that were coming out of Paris. They were very fashionable, and they're mostly fantasy ballets. And one night I went to the Royal Court Theatre and saw John Osborne's Looking Back in Anger, was absolutely bowled over by it, and decided I wanted to break from the fantasy world into something more real.
Macmillan went to Vienna for his reality, to a true story that nearly 100 years after the event, respectable citizens preferred not to talk about, but a story that fascinates anyone with the slightest curiosity about the private lives of public faces. A scandal at court which shocked the world and rocked a dynasty that had ruled the country for more than 600 years, the House of Habsburg. Emperor Franz Joseph I had succeeded to the throne of the Austrian Empire in 1848. His wife, the Empress Elizabeth. They had 3 children. Their third child, an only son, the Crown Prince Rudolf, heir to the Habsburg throne. Emperor Franz Joseph ruled for 68 years and died in 1916, aged 86. But his only son and heir, the Crown Prince Rudolf, did not succeed to the throne of the Habsburgs. In 1889, at the age of 31, tormented by family conflict and political intrigue, venereally diseased and addicted to morphine, Rudolf shot himself. About 6 hours earlier, before committing suicide, the Crown Prince had, with her agreement, shot dead his 17-year-old mistress, Mary Wetzera. Crown Prince Rudolf is buried alongside his father and mother in the mausoleum of the Habsburgs in the center of Vienna. Mary Wetzera lies in a country churchyard 20 miles away. Mary Wetzera, born 19th of March 1871, died on the 30th of January 1889. Rudolf, heir to the throne of Austria and Hungary, born 21st of August 1858, died on the 30th of January 1889 at Mayerling. From his apartment in the Hofburg in Vienna, it was a journey of 16 miles to the Crown Prince's hunting lodge at Mayerling. Mayerling's a small village to the south of the city on the edge of the Vienna woods. After the tragedy, the Emperor Franz Joseph demolished the hunting lodge and a Carmelite convent was built there, but the memory of the tragedy at Mayerling is now written into history. To get at the facts and reveal the characters truthfully, Kenneth Macmillan collaborated with the writer Gillian Freeman.
It was easy to get at the earlier facts, more difficult to get at the end, because all Rudolph's effects were destroyed. In fact, Emperor Franz Joseph had all his papers put into a sealed sack, and when the sack was opened some 50 years later, it was found only to contain pieces of linen and old newspapers. So it is very difficult to know exactly what happened.
On the other hand, everything that is in the ballet, you would say, could be verified, in fact?
Yes, absolutely everything.
On the evening of the 28th of January, 1889, with the aid of his friend and confidant, the cab driver Bratfish, Rudolph and Mary left Vienna secretly and rendezvoused at Mayerling. They'd chosen to die together. From Mayerling, Mary wrote to her mother, "Forgive me for what I've done. I could not resist love. I am happier in death than in life." In a letter to his wife, Stephanie, the Crown Prince, now dependent on morphine to control the pain of venereal disease, wrote, "I approach death calmly. It alone can save my good name." In the third and last act of Macmillan's Mayerling, the couple prepare for death together. This is the climax of the ballet. The death of the Crown Prince, heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire, was a royal tragedy. The combined suicide of himself and his young mistress was sensational and potentially disastrous for the continuation of the House of Habsburg. The twin-headed eagle of the Habsburgs, reigning over the dual monarchy of Austria and Hungary. 30 years earlier, Franz Joseph had brought them under the same crown and enforced the power of the Habsburgs in Europe. As a symbol of the strength of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Franz Joseph had rebuilt Vienna around the royal palace, the Hofburg. It was in the Hofburg that Franz Joseph heard of the tragedy, and an eyewitness reports that he fell on the floor and writhed in pain and despair, no longer in a state of self-control. Then he realized the full implications of the tragedy. Not only the loss of his heir, but a murder and a suicide that could be interpreted as madness in the family. All this would cast doubt on the divine right of the Habsburgs to rule. The attempt by his father, the Emperor Franz Joseph, and the Prime Minister of Austria, Count Taff, to salvage the dynasty and cover up the more scandalous facts behind the tragedy made the event even more bizarre. It led to years of research and speculation, memoirs, myth-making, fact-finding, and romantic invention in films.
Years ago, I saw a film about Mayerling with Daniel Darieux and Charles Boyer, which was very romantic, and I cried a lot. And then about 4 years ago, I bought a book for my wife's birthday about the Habsburgs, and I read it first. And there was a lot in it about Mayerling, and it was completely contrary to the film I'd seen. It was completely unromantic, and it intrigued me, and that's how I wanted to do it.
Now a 32-year-old London-born dancer, David Wall, a member of the Royal Ballet Company since 1964, becomes the latest to impersonate the tragic Crown Prince Rudolph. The role of Crown Prince Rudolph is the biggest and most exacting ever created for a male dancer.
My main problem was, from the word go, I was scared of the actual fact that I was going to require so much stamina and strength actually to get through the ballet. I found myself doing things that I'd never done before as a person, let alone a dancer.
Since Nureyev defected from Russia, I mean, the male dancer has come into the fore. Always before, the ballerina role was the main thing. And now in England, we have some superb male dancers. And I wanted to do a ballet for a man.
Macmillan's Mayerling is in 3 acts. It relates some of the events leading up to the tragedy over a period of 8 years, starting in May 1881 on the day of the Crown Prince Rudolph's wedding. Rudolph is forced by his father and the court to make a political marriage to one of the few eligible princesses in Europe, Princess Stephanie of Belgium. At the wedding reception, the Crown Prince, David Wall, and Stephanie, Wendy Ellis, lead off the dancing. Followed by the Emperor Franz Joseph, Michael Soames, and the Empress Elizabeth, Georgina Parkinson. And then Countess Lariche, Mel Park, and her husband. Countess Lariche is to become instrumental in the tragedy, for she will make the fatal introduction to Rudolph of the girl who will die with him.